tingly.
And a performer and an improviser, and I think one of the coolest people I've ever met in my life, so this is why I wanted him to be here tonight. Enjoy. Thank you. No, I think you get paid for this, right? So.
I'm getting tons of chuff.
Yeah.
I get 700 chuff for this. I hope everyone's getting paid the same or we're in trouble. I've just given Regina, is it Regina or Regina? Because I've heard so much tonight.
So it's Regina.
Regina.
Yes.
I've given Regina the bird of paradise. I don't have any problems, and I don't need any help. I was born in an egg, and ever since the moment I hatched, I've had not a single issue. I was born in a small village north of Zurich. It was lonely at times, but I was one of three, so it was fine. I spent way too much time working in the theatre, so that the only subject of my work was the theatre itself, and I felt I need to stop performing. I spend all my time talking about the theatre and being in the theatre, and the only way I could do it is to become a trustee. I found that my expectation of Bern, that it was going to be some sort of ornate, beautiful, smoke rising from chimneys, medieval city. But unfortunately, I'm staying in this part of Bern, and it's not like that. In fact, it's quite reminiscent of Mordor, because if you walk from where my Airbnb is to this place, which I've done multiple times today, away from the fear of being mugged because of my multicoloured coat, you look into the distance and beyond the Detroit skyscape with its massive landing of vehicles and lorries and abandoned trainways and men standing huddling around a fire pit, and the feeling that you're in the set of Escape from New York and Kurt Russell's going to pop out behind Hartmut Abendschein at any point, what you end up looking at is a fucking giant tower with red lights around it pumping smoke into the sky. And you wonder why you would draw attention to that, especially when you're seeing it walking next to the crematorium. On the way to the restaurant called Tra-La-La, you find yourself taking a left past these housing blocks, and you think, why would Swiss architects build one side of the building's glass? I can see into your house. And why is it when I can see into your house, and your neighbour's house, and your above neighbour's house, and your next door neighbour's house, you all look the same? You've all got two kids. He's wearing a suit, and she's cooking dinner. And I'm like, am I in Escape from New York, or the 1950s in England? And then you look into the distance, and you remember, I'm in Mordor. There's the tower pumping smoke next to the crematorium. Why would you light up the top of the tower? This morning, I ran north from my Airbnb without checking my Google Maps, and it was woods. I crossed this motorway. I peed on the motorway yesterday. I needed a pee really badly. I wee a lot when I'm nervous. I was slightly nervous, so I stopped, unzipped facing away from the road, and urinated on your motorway. And as I started this run that I aforementioned, I thought, I'll just run into the woods and I'll get to the next part of Bern. 25 minutes later, it was still woods. And embarrassingly, I had to just stop and turn round and run back the way I came, which I didn't like because I couldn't really focus because I'd seen it already, and therefore because I couldn't focus, I got more tired. I was born a bird of paradise, but then I grew into my egg and I became a giant mouse. And Alina, for some reason, is wheeling out a piano, even though I cannot play any musical instrument, let alone a grand piano, forcing me to break off my conversation with Hartmut Abendschein and Chris, whose surname I didn't get, but seems like a good guy. I shouldn't say this, but he's a ghostwriter. And also, when you think about what Chris said about economics, you can only be confused. So 25 minutes into this forest, and I find myself thinking, this is getting threatening. And then I think, everything here is threatening. Everything I've experienced so far in Bern, apart from some of the people, but they're hiding it, has a sense of menace. And then I think, I know they're not Swiss, they're Austrian, but I've read too much Elfriede Jelinek and Peter Handke, and this is what their books are like. The Norse part of Bern is a Peter Handke book, because you're always thinking something's going to go wrong. There's going to be something in the road, something in the sky, something in my feet, something on the walls, something's going to start bleeding. These concrete walls better be deliberate, because while this venue is nice, it is essentially a pit. And when you think about the feeling of being in a pit, it's not normally good, it's normally bad. I've been assured that no one will throw things down at me. I had the idea earlier I would get the ladder that's downstairs in the basement. I don't know if you've been down there, but there's a whole company who is paid to try and hack companies so that their cybersecurity is good enough to stop actual hackers. And there's also a weird room, and in the room I helped Marina earlier with another nice chap whose name I've forgotten at this moment, move furniture out, and I went back to it because I thought, I'll sit in here for a bit because I'm sick of fucking talking to people because I've got to talk to people for 700 chuff later. And when I opened the door, someone was getting changed. I'm really sorry, I saw you in the mirror. And I'm not a fucking weirdo, like I was saying at dinner yesterday. The thing about me and my family is that when we dream, we tend to tell each other the next day about our dreams, and we all end up dreaming the same dream. And it really makes you think, how does that work in terms of shared consciousness? And I was really pleased also when I wasn't overly haunted, but there's just a feeling that the present comes at the times you want it to be. I was born in a small village just north of Zurich, and it was lonely at times, but there was 3 of us, so it was okay. And next to me, I'm feeling like there's this giant Albanian eagle who's drunk, and it's making me pour its wine, and I'm thinking, I'm quite enjoying this, and then the eagle asks me if I'm gay. And once, someone, when I was at university, said to me, you're the least gay person I've ever met, and I really didn't know how to take that. That wasn't really a compliment, but the one last night was a compliment, but I had to stop making eye contact with the Albanian eagle because it had drunk way too much wine. And what really shocked me about the wine is that the wine was Nora Lune. I said I would work with you a little bit. You can come onto the carpet with me, Nora Lune. Alina, if you have some feeling in your heart about light, because that's what you do, you can do it now. I can't come and meet you because this lovely man taking photo. Will you take a photo of me now? I would love that. Yeah, I feel like there was no shutter sound, which was disappointing. It's kind of a dance now, Lune. Let's get into it a little bit. The strange thing about this venue is, while it is very friendly, it is essentially a pit. I feel like the walls might bleed. I feel like the walls might bleed and feet might emerge from the walls, like happened earlier when a face was coming through a curtain. And that curtain has proper meaning, so I'm not going to take the piss about it, because I fully respected that stuff and I need to shut the fuck up. That's half the fucking problem with me! I don't know how to shut up. I don't mean that in a threatening way. You notice how I raise my voice and move further back so you don't feel threatened at all. Because of Regina, I want her to feel like I did a good job and I earned my 700 chuff. And I tell you what I also got yesterday is a free meal. Vegetarian dish after vegetarian dish until you're sick of vegetables. But are you really sick of vegetables? You need to look inside your heart and think about that. If these walls started to bleed, you start to feel feet. Feet made of ice, feet made of diamonds, feet made of glass, feet made of nails, feet made of teeth, feet made of curtains, feet made of dreams, feet made of the bird of paradise. Nora Lune's quite threatening in her own way. I wonder what's in this drawer. Nothing, which is disappointing, because I could have done with a prop at that point. We're going to go back to the walls. Imagine, right, no, let's go back to Bern. No, right, let's go back to, what should we go back to? My Airbnb? No, I don't want to talk about that, that's quite boring. Let's think about some of the bios I experienced. I was born on a farm. I was born on a farm in Switzerland and I left when I was 15. I made good eye contact. I've got a silver tooth. I was born on a farm in Switzerland and I left when I was 15 and my parents are supportive and I've got a silver tooth and I made good eye contact. I was a double-headed Albanian eagle getting me to pour my drinks. I was a bird of paradise. I was a mouse. I was a cat. I was a bear in a pit. I was a disappointed bear in a pit. I was a bear in a pit who should have been hibernating. I was the city of Bern fencing off its UNESCO heritage with guns and ammo and diamonds. I was a foot bleeding through a wall that was made of glass that was made of ice. I was Nora Lune giving me proper distance. I was Nora Lune's vision of this film. I was documentation as an art form. I was in the theatre so much. All I was doing is writing about theatre because I just lived in the theatre so much. I was here earlier with a ladder to see if I could climb up there. I was in the toilet earlier and it was awkward because it's unisex and there was a woman queuing outside. What can you do about that? You can pee on the motorway. If you walk from my Airbnb into this venue and you look over to your right, you'll see in the distance a darkness, and a darkness that's topped by a tower, and the tower is pumping out smoke. Next to the crematorium at the top of the tower is a red light. Why are you paying attention to the red light? But I don't mean that in an aggressive way, it's just in me all the time. I really think it's funny how people think that other people are like they are, and then they talk about empathy, but there are some people who have nothing inside. And of course, if we can trace back to their childhood, we'll be able to find that there's parts of their lives that have made them feel that way. I think I feel a forward roll coming on. Can I talk when I'm doing my forward roll? What should we talk about? Peeing on the motorway didn't go down well. Nora Lune's moving the cable, I'm moving because I'm doing a forward roll. That went quite well, I feel quite good about that. Let's test the other drawer. For some reason that slightly taxed my cardiovascular system and I needed to be able to talk. Let's get low, Nora. Alina, finally, with red lights. I like it. Like hell, like the Tower of Mordor. Right, let's work it back. We're getting a bit aggressive. Thank you, Nora. Let's move it into softer territory. I was born in one of the posher parts of Austria, next to the Tyrol. I get so tired when I have to talk to people all day, and I carry in my bum bag this beautiful little vial of liquid, and inside the liquid is a forbidden substance, and I use it sometimes when I go to the cinema to relax. And I think, when I'm sitting in the seat of the cinema, I think, oh, nobody knows what I've got in my bum bag. I feel like a lion right now. I feel like a bear. I feel like a bear at Bern. I feel like a big mouse. A big lost mouse. I feel like a chicken is on my shoulder, picking my eyes out. I feel my face coming through the curtain, and I think, I'm glad my mother isn't here too much, just when I need her. And I think I have dreams, and I share them with my family the next day, and they are the same. And I feel like people are attracted to premonitions, and I feel like I'm glad the meal was free because I couldn't afford it. And I feel like CHF is obviously chuff. And I feel like my middle name is growing, expanding into a floor that's become a carpet, and the walls are bleeding. I can feel the feet coming through, but I don't mean that in an aggressive way. It's just inside me, and I think it's funny how people think, oh, everyone's the same, but only when it works for them. I feel like there's some sort of didactic meaning when you endlessly tell people what to think, and I was in the theatre so much that I was only writing about the theatre, and I felt like I had to stop performing. But I still wanted to be involved, and I thought the way to do that is to be a trustee, and that creates distance from me. And I grew up in a small village outside of Zurich, and there was 3 of us, so I wasn't too lonely, and I'm eye contact, and I'm intense. And I'm a foot made of ice. I'm David Spittle's gout foot that hurts him when he walks. And I'm David Spittle's gout foot where I walk where he worked. And I work on the walls and I think, well, if you talk too much, you're not making sense. And you know what I love getting paid for is a one-sided conversation that goes on for a certain amount of time. I love Nora Lune and her personal feelings towards pretending to be a motivational speaker. And I love Alina warming slightly up to me when she realised I wasn't a fucking creepy weirdo. But little does Alina know what I'm really like. Does any of us know what we're really like? I'm not installing the fucking update. I'm just going to see how much time I've got. I've got loads of time. You all wish it was less, but why have I got angry? Life's a mystery. We're a mystery unto ourselves. Anyway, when things don't go well, I lie on the floor, but they're going perfectly fucking fine. So let's keep it going. This venue's really nice, but when you actually analyse it, it's a kind of pit. And you see Nora Lune on her hips, sitting on the floor, looking up at me saying, Steve, look down at my camera. But don't look down on me. I'm Nora Lune. I'm a performer. I'm an artist. I'm going to take this footage and I'm going to make a film out of it. And I'm Dave's gouty foot. I'm Dave's foot bleeding into his shoe as a metaphor for the giant tower with a red light that pumps smoke into the sky. I'm the endless forest of Bern. I'm the disappointing zoo of Bern. I'm 800 years of Bernese history. I'm a billion. I'm an illegal billion. I'm an illegal billion in New York. I've travelled for this festival. I'm a half Bosnian, half Croatian 14-year-old, a good mix. I'm the funk store of Bern. You need 2 kilograms of funk to make it through this life, and that's no mistake. My feelings are confusing. I get myself worked up and it becomes a kind of trick. But there's no trick tonight. There's no preparation or trick. There's Chinese dragons on a pillow. There's the pillow people who have no fear in their heart. Then there's the mildly afraid. Then there's the very afraid. And up there somewhere are the regretful, who wish they were closer, who wish they'd actually come closer for this one. And there are those in their heart feeling feelings right now, feelings I'll never know, because of the problem of the other mind, the problem of the ghostwriter, the problem of economics, the problem of Hartmut Abendschein and his issue with process, which is no issue because he loves it here as we all do. And Hartmut sometimes takes his sky glider and he flies up to the tower that pumps gas into the air of the north part of Bern, which is absorbed through the process of photosynthesis into the endless forests of Bern, and that flows back into the river where David and I saw 2 fat men swimming, and we thought, ooh, that must be cold. How did they do that? Maybe the glacier melted and those men were trapped inside, and they're Neanderthals, and they're floating down the river, and you know what they're going to find? A disappointing zoo and a cultural limitation and architectural development. An unbalanced city, where in the north people are running from Bruce Springsteen and Kurt Russell, and in the south they are selling their boutique bushies to all the lovely tourists who come here briefly to join the 133,000 people who make up the residents of this city
city, occasionally bolstered during the Bone Wort festival by the residents of Beale. The Bealians, the illegal Bealians with their pounds of funk, eating them from the floor like a double-headed Albanian eagle, and a very expensive meal that was paid for by the Swiss state. I don't know. I didn't pay for the meal. Endless vegetarian dishes line the roads of Bern, and there you will find Marina making the gesture of the earth meat. This is the celery. Look at it in both my hands. Look at these mushrooms cooked in butter and see your mother whose ghost stands on your shoulder and raises up like a chicken peck in your eyes, like a lion carved into the floor of a dark yard where men go round the train station covered in flames and pray to the bear of Bern, save me from my pain. And the bear whispers, I'm hibernating actually, if you could just leave me alone, that would be fantastic. I'm the tourist saying to me, oh, it's because you have to pay for this, and me looking down at this poor bear thinking, oh, why? Why would you trap a bear in Bern? And then I remember the heartless core that lives within people in an ancient municipality. And I think, I'm going back to North Bern, where I belong. Where there is the tower with the red lights at the top and the smoke that pumps endlessly into the sky, where the forests go on forever and ever, and the shoes that I'm wearing right now take me through these giant messy puddles, and where a woman looked at me today and laughed at me because I was running without hair gel and my hair looked stupid like a bird of paradise. And I thought, ow, that hurts my feelings. If you could see me tonight around 8:30, you'd think something else. And in fact, you would hate me more, but for different reasons, and that is the spice of life, variety. Like a chicken on your shoulder, pecking your eye out, like a lovely lion carved into a floor, like a double-headed Albanian eagle, like having too much of the theatre and only having the theatre to write about. Like growing up in a little village north of Zurich where it wasn't that lonely because there were 3 of us. Like growing up in the part of Austria that's extremely rich and you publish a magazine about them and they don't like it. Like sitting in a cinema and thinking, I'm a giant mouse and I've got to make everything up, but it's okay because I'm so full of bullshit that I could do that anyway. I would do it for free, but normally I'd get arrested and I wouldn't get paid 700 chuff. And what am I going to spend that chuff on? Well, in England we have a thing called charity shops. And when you go into a charity shop, you see all manner of things. You see a dark tower pumping smoke if you close your eyes and think back to that trip in Bern, which you're kind of sad that it ended, but then you remember the malaise, the menace, the feeling that you had at night sitting there alone saying, where are my people? Why does nobody love me? And you realise nobody truly loves you because of what you're like. And you think, well, it's fine. My life's easy. I spent way too much time in the theatre. And I was gesticulating like a fish and I was hitting people and I have a jumper that has an eye on it. The eye of Horus. Nora, Lune, I barely needed you. I'm so sorry about it. I don't know what came over me. I really thought we could have done something special together, but I think the documentation will look pretty good. And Alina, could you give me a different colour? Because it's going to end in a second. And there's cushions with dragons on them, and there's the brave people at the front with the dragons, and there's Helma Abensheim with his sky blood, and there's Regina. It's green! The colour of moss and rot. Nurgle, Burble, one of the chaos gods. Nurgle, you are the best. Look at that green dragon flying through the air. What will be in the 3rd drawer? I'm willing to bet it's nothing, and it is nothing. And the green dragon that swims through our veins as we climb through the forests and jungles of Bern, as we take with us the head of the bear that built the city that makes everyone sad. And when you ask a Bernese about their city, they tend to tell you that it's quite disappointing. And you think, well, what's better than Bern? And they say Zurich, and you roll your fucking eyes and you think, really? Zurich? I'm from London. And then you think, don't get arrogant. There's no need to, because when you really think about it, the meal was free. You got 700 chuff for holding a cushion. And you think about that double Albanian-headed eagle and her resistance to it, and how much she actually just wanted to be a deep-sea shark. And you remember that wonderful young woman with the silver tooth actually listening, and how you congratulated her on leaving the farm, and she congratulated you on your journey. And you think these things are precious, but do I really feel them? Who feels anything? Because what's the distance between the feeling and the words that you use? And isn't it just that you endlessly fucking talk and no one listens? And when you get down to it, at the end of the day, you're kind of alone because of that, but when you accept it, it's fine. Thank you.